Think Florida's housing market is untouchable? Think again. Behind the palm trees, sunny beaches, and picture-perfect communities, cracks are spreading fast. Prices that once soared are now stalling. Insurance costs are exploding, and for sale signs are multiplying across neighborhoods that were booming just yesterday. Is your city about to become the next ghost town? Could that dream retirement home turn into a financial trap? Today we'll uncover the 10 Florida cities most at risk of turning into ghost towns during the 2025 housing crash. Number 1. Tampa, Florida. Tampa has been one of Florida's fastest growing housing markets, but that very growth now puts it at the center of the state's looming housing crisis. Over the past decade, Tampa transformed from a mid-sized Gulf Coast city into a booming metro, drawing thousands of new residents each year. Between 2020 and 2022 alone, home prices in Tampa surged by nearly 65%, one of the steepest climbs in Florida. The median home price today hovers around $420,000, while the median household income remains under $65,000. That mismatch leaves buyers dangerously overstretched. Affordability is at historic lows. At current mortgage rates, a typical Tampa household would need to spend 45% or more of its income on housing, far above the safe threshold. Add property taxes and skyrocketing insurance, often exceeding $5,000 annually, and many families are reaching a breaking point. Reports from ATM show foreclosure filings in the Tampa metro rising more than 20% year over year, with the steepest increases in neighborhoods where homes sold at peak prices in 2021 and 2022. The rental market offers little relief. Average rents are around $2,100 per month, up more than 30% since 2019. With wage growth failing to keep pace, both renters and owners are squeezed. Investors who rushed in to flip homes or operate short-term rentals are beginning to sell off properties as profits dry up. Another major issue is insurance. Tampa is highly vulnerable to hurricanes and flooding. After Hurricane Ian and other recent storms, many insurers either left Florida or raised premiums to unaffordable levels. In Hillsborough County, some homeowners saw policy increases of 40% or more in a single year. This has left many households underinsured or even uninsured, raising financial risks during storm season. Tampa's economy, though diversified, doesn't shield the market. Healthcare, finance, and tourism are major employers, but wages remain modest compared to the cost of housing. Job growth has slowed since 2023, and with higher interest rates suppressing construction and real estate, Tampa's once hot market is cooling fast. Signs of distress are everywhere. Inventory is up nearly 30% year over year. Homes stay on the market longer, and price reductions are becoming common. Analysts warn that Tampa is one of the metros most at risk of a double-digit price correction in 2025. For families who stretched to buy during the boom, negative equity may be right around the corner. Tampa represents the perfect storm of Florida's housing challenges: rapid growth, soaring prices, rising insurance costs, and slowing demand. Unless affordability improves, this once booming city could see neighborhoods empty out faster than anyone expects. Number 2. Cape Coral, Florida. Cape Coral, often called the waterfront wonderland for its vast network of canals, has long attracted retirees and snowbirds, but beneath the sunshine and waterfront views lies a housing market in serious trouble. Cape Coral was one of Florida's hottest pandemic boomtowns, with home prices jumping nearly 70% between 2020 and 2022. Today, the median home price is around $410,000, far above what local incomes can support. The median household income sits under $65,000, creating one of the sharpest affordability gaps in the state. Insurance costs make matters worse. Cape Coral is ground zero for Florida's insurance crisis. After Hurricane Ian devastated the region in 2022, premiums skyrocketed. Many residents now face annual costs above $6,500, even for modest homes. For retirees on fixed incomes, these costs are unsustainable. Some insurers have stopped writing new policies in the area, leaving homeowners scrambling for coverage from Citizens, the state-run insurer of last resort. Foreclosure activity is rising as well. Adam data shows filings in Lee County up more than 25% year over year, with many concentrated in Cape Coral. Homeowners who bought at peak prices with adjustable rate mortgages are especially vulnerable as payments reset higher in 2025. The oversupply of homes adds pressure. During the boom, builders rushed to construct new developments, betting demand would remain strong. Now, inventory has surged, with listings up nearly 40% compared to last year. Homes that once sold in days now sit for months, often requiring steep price cuts. Cape Coral's dependence on retirees and second home buyers adds another layer of risk. With high interest rates and volatile financial markets, many potential buyers are holding back. Demand from out-of-state buyers, once a driving force, has slowed slowed sharply since 2023. Without this steady stream of newcomers, Cape Coral's market loses one of its main supports. Even the city's famous waterfront lifestyle is facing challenges. Rising sea levels and flood risks are making canal-front homes more expensive to insure and maintain. For some retirees, the dream of waterfront living is turning into a financial nightmare. Cape Coral was one of the hardest hit cities during the 2008 housing crash, with prices falling more than 60%. Analysts warn history could repeat itself with many of the same ingredients: rapid appreciation, speculative buying, oversupply, and external shocks back in play. Cape Coral still looks like paradise at first glance, but for many residents, the math no longer works. Without significant corrections, more homes will sit empty, and entire neighborhoods could see rising vacancies, echoing the ghost town feel that defined the last crash. Number 3. Northport, Florida. Northport was once marketed as the affordable alternative to Sarasota, just a short drive away from Florida's Gulf Coast beaches. Families and retirees alike poured in during the pandemic years, drawn by new developments and the promise of a suburban paradise at a discount. But now, Northport has become a cautionary tale of what happens when prices rise too far, too fast. Between 2020 and 2022, home values here skyrocketed nearly 75%, one of the steepest increases in Florida. The median home price now sits at about $380,000, while the median household income hovers just above $63,000. For many local families, the dream of home ownership slipped out of reach. Those who did buy often stretched their finances thin, relying on FHA loans or adjustable rate mortgages that are resetting at much higher rates. The result is pressure building on all sides. Foreclosures are climbing in Sarasota County, with Northport among the hardest hit areas. Inventory has ballooned up more than 45% year over year as homeowners struggle to sell in a cooling market. Many listings now feature multiple price cuts, a sharp contrast to the bidding wars of just a couple of years ago. Insurance has only made matters worse. Premiums in coastal counties surged after Hurricane Ian, and while Northport is inland, it's not immune. Flooding risks and rising construction costs have pushed average insurance bills above $5,000 annually, eating into already stretched budgets. For retirees on fixed incomes, these costs alone are often enough to force a sale. Northport has been here before. During the 2008 crash, it was one of the worst hit cities in Florida, with prices plunging more than 60%. Now, with the same mix of speculative building, inflated prices, and vulnerable buyers, many fear history is about to repeat itself. Developers who once rushed to expand are now scaling back, and some projects sit half-finished, echoing scenes from the last downturn. The city's location still offers advantages: proximity to Sarasota's beaches, natural preserves, and a quieter lifestyle compared to busier metros. But beneath that peaceful exterior, the cracks are spreading. If the market continues on its current path, more for sale signs could turn into foreclosed ones, leaving entire neighborhoods hollowed out. And if you want to keep following how cities like Northport are changing, make sure to subscribe. You won't want to miss what's coming next. Number 4. Port St. Lucie, Florida. For years, Port St. Lucie has been one of Florida's fastest growing cities, attracting retirees and families with promises of affordability compared to Miami or Palm Beach. But today, it's a city teetering on the edge of oversaturation. What was once a hidden gem is starting to show signs of serious strain. The numbers tell the story. Home prices surged nearly 60% between 2020 and 2022, pushing the median price above $385,000. Meanwhile, median household income in Port St. Lucie is just $62,000. That disconnect has pushed affordability to record lows. A standard mortgage now eats up more than 40% of a typical family's income, leaving little room for rising insurance, taxes, and basic living expenses. The city's population boom also created pressure on infrastructure. Roads, schools, and services are struggling to keep up with demand, and retirees who moved here for peace and quiet are finding congestion and overcrowding instead. Builders added fuel to the fire, flooding the market with new subdivisions. Now, inventory has jumped 35% year over year, and homes sit unsold for months. Insurance is another breaking point. St. Lucie County ranks among the highest in Florida for premium increases, with average annual costs approaching $6,000. Combined with flood risk along the Treasure Coast, many residents are reconsidering whether they can stay long-term. Port St. Lucie's rapid growth also makes it vulnerable to economic shifts. Many of the new arrivals came from out of state, especially the Northeast. But with higher mortgage rates and inflation, that pipeline of buyers has slowed dramatically. Without constant in-migration, prices simply can't hold. During the last housing crash, Port St. Lucie saw values plummet by more than half. Today, with the same warning signs flashing, rapid appreciation, oversupply, and affordability collapse, analysts warn that a sharp correction is all but inevitable. For retirees hoping for a tranquil Florida lifestyle, Port St. Lucie still offers sun, golf, and access to the coast. But the financial foundation is shaky, and in 2025, this city could quickly shift from boomtown to bust. Number 5. Deltona, Florida. Deltona, tucked between Orlando and Daytona Beach, has long been a commuter city, an affordable option for workers who couldn't pay big city prices. But now, affordability is breaking down here too, and Deltona's very role as a cheap alternative is in jeopardy. Home prices soared more than 55% during the pandemic boom, pushing the median price to about $310,000. That might not sound extreme compared to coastal markets, but with a median household income under $55,000, Deltona residents are among the most stretched in Florida. Mortgage payments at today's rates swallow nearly 45% of income, and that's before insurance and taxes are added. Insurance costs are punishing residents across Volusia County. Even modest homes face premiums of $4,500 to $5,500 annually, and some homeowners are struggling to keep coverage at all. For many families, the combination of high mortgage payments and soaring insurance is unsustainable. Retirees who once saw Deltona as a quieter and cheaper option than Orlando now find themselves paying more for less stability. Deltona's economic base also leaves it vulnerable. The city doesn't have a strong industry of its own. Instead, it relies heavily on commuters traveling to Orlando or Daytona for work. With rising costs and slowing job growth in Central Florida, demand for housing in commuter cities like Deltona is softening. Schools and road infrastructure, already strained by rapid population growth in the last decade, are struggling to keep up, further eroding the city's appeal. Signs of strain are clear. Inventory has risen by nearly 40% year over year. Homes sit longer on the market, and foreclosure activity is creeping up. Many buyers who stretched for FHA loans during the boom are now at risk of falling behind. Renters aren't spared either, with average monthly rents above $1,800, a figure that rivals more established metros in the state. Deltona may not be as glamorous as Miami or Tampa, but its challenges mirror the broader Florida housing crisis: incomes that can't keep up, insurance that eats away at budgets, and buyers who are running out of options. If these trends continue, Deltona could see neighborhoods thinning out, not growing in the years ahead. Number 6. Ocala, Florida. Ocala, often called the horse capital of the world, has long been a draw for retirees and equestrian enthusiasts. Located in Central Florida, it promises a quieter lifestyle, rolling pastures, and a reputation for affordability compared to the coast. But even Ocala is starting to show cracks in the foundation of Florida's housing market. Between 2020 and 2022, home prices in Ocala jumped nearly 50%, pushing the median to about $280,000. For a city with a median household income of just $50,000, that's dangerously high. At current mortgage rates, many families now face monthly payments that consume over 40% of their income, far beyond what's sustainable. Insurance is another problem. While Ocala is inland and less vulnerable to hurricanes than coastal areas, premiums have still surged. Many households now pay $3,500 to $4,500 annually, a major expense in a city where incomes are modest. Combine that with rising property taxes and grocery inflation, and Ocala's affordability edge is disappearing. Inventory is also swelling. Active listings are up more than 35% year over year, and builders who rushed to meet pandemic demand now face a slowdown. Homes that once sold in weeks are sitting for months, often with multiple price reductions. Some developments on the city's outskirts remain half-finished, leaving neighborhoods dotted with empty lots and unoccupied houses. Ocala's economy is another vulnerability. Much of the city's employment revolves around agriculture, retail, and healthcare, stable but low-paying sectors. Without high-wage jobs to support elevated housing costs, prices rest on shaky ground. Retirees, once a driving force in Ocala's market, are also feeling the pressure of higher insurance and healthcare costs, slowing demand. Migration from pricier cities like Orlando and Tampa once bolstered Ocala's growth, but that flow is weakening as affordability declines, leaving sellers with fewer buyers. Ocala was not immune to the 2008 crash, and many fear the same story is unfolding again. With affordability shattered, inventory rising, and wages stagnant, the horse capital could soon find itself galloping toward a housing correction that empties more stalls than it fills. Number 7. Poinciana, Florida. Poinciana, a master-planned community southwest of Orlando, was designed to be an affordable suburban alternative with modern homes and amenities. For years, it succeeded in drawing families priced out of Orlando. But now, Poinciana is becoming one of the clearest examples of Florida's affordability crisis. Home prices surged nearly 60% during the pandemic, pushing the median to about $310,000. With a median household income of just $55,000, the math simply doesn't work. At current interest rates, typical mortgage payments eat up close to 50% of household income, leaving little room for other expenses. For younger families hoping to buy their first home, the financial strain has turned the dream of ownership into a heavy burden. Insurance has become another crushing expense. Even inland communities like Poinciana are seeing annual premiums above $4,500, especially in new subdivisions built without mature tree cover or natural wind protection. Retirees and first-time buyers alike are questioning whether they can keep up with these costs. Some households are even cutting back on essentials just to keep their policies current. Inventory is piling up too. Active listings are up more than 40% compared to last year, and price reductions are spreading across the market. Many buyers who stretched with FHA or VA loans during the boom are now struggling to stay afloat as costs rise. Rental prices haven't provided relief either, with monthly averages above $2,000 straining budgets across the board. Poinciana's economy is closely tied to Orlando's tourism and service industries. With that sector slowing under higher interest rates and tighter consumer spending, job growth is cooling. A weaker job market paired with unaffordable housing creates a dangerous mix. Infrastructure has also lagged behind the city's rapid growth. Roads are often congested and schools are overburdened, adding to residents' frustrations. Poinciana was one of the hardest hit communities in the 2008 housing crash, with whole neighborhoods left half-built or foreclosed. Locals worry they're seeing the same movie play out again, with for sale signs multiplying and demand drying up. Without affordability, even planned communities like Poinciana can unravel. Unless conditions improve, Poinciana risks becoming another Florida ghost town in the making. Number 8. Palm Bay, Florida. Palm Bay, located on Florida's Space Coast, was once touted as one of the most affordable cities for families and retirees alike. Its proximity to Melbourne, Cape Canaveral, and the Atlantic beaches made it a popular choice for buyers priced out of other coastal cities. But today, Palm Bay is starting to feel the same pressure that's crushing housing markets across the state. Home prices climbed nearly 55% during the pandemic boom, with the median now at about $295,000. For a city where the median household income is just $54,000, affordability is out of reach. At today's interest rates, monthly payments easily exceed 40% of income, stretching buyers to the breaking point. Insurance has turned into Palm Bay's biggest problem. Located along the coast, the city faces serious storm and flood risks. Annual premiums frequently top $6,000, and some insurers have exited entirely, leaving homeowners dependent on the state-run Citizens program. For retirees on fixed incomes, these costs are devastating. Inventory is also climbing. Active listings have risen by more than 38% year over year, and homes that would have sparked bidding wars in 2021 are now sitting unsold. Many sellers are slashing prices just to attract buyers. The local economy adds another layer of vulnerability. Palm Bay is tied closely to the aerospace and defense industries around Cape Canaveral. While these sectors provide good jobs, they're also cyclical. Any downturn in government spending or private investment could quickly reduce demand for housing. Palm Bay was hit hard during the 2008 crash, and the warning signs are flashing again. Rapid appreciation, unsustainable insurance, and a slowing job market. Without a turnaround, Palm Bay could soon see empty streets where thriving neighborhoods once stood. What do you think? Could Palm Bay weather this storm, or is it destined to repeat its 2008 collapse? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear your perspective. Number 9. Winter Haven, Florida. Winter Haven, located in central Florida's Polk County, is best known for its chain of lakes and as the home of Legoland. For years, it was a quiet, affordable community where retirees and families could live comfortably without the high costs of coastal living. But that story is quickly changing. Home prices in Winter Haven surged more than 60% during the pandemic, pushing the median to nearly $290,000. On paper, that still looks cheaper than Tampa or Miami, but when paired with a median household income of just $52,000, affordability affordability has collapsed. At current interest rates, typical mortgage payments swallow close to 45% of a family's income, a level that most experts consider unsustainable. Inventory is swelling as well. Active listings are up nearly 35% year over year, and the days of quick sales are gone. Many homes now linger on the market for 90 days or more, often requiring multiple price cuts before attracting buyers. Foreclosure activity is also on the rise in Polk County, concentrated in neighborhoods where first-time buyers stretch their finances thin. Insurance costs are another breaking point. Even though Winter Haven is inland, premiums often exceed $4,500 annually, with flood risks still present in lakefront neighborhoods. For retirees living on pensions or Social Security, those costs can be crippling. Families with younger children are also feeling the strain, as higher monthly bills eat into budgets that once seemed manageable. The city's economy relies heavily on service industries, healthcare, and tourism from nearby attractions. These are not high-paying sectors, and they can be volatile when consumer spending slows. With inflation and interest rates weighing on household budgets, demand is weakening, leaving Winter Haven exposed. Infrastructure has struggled to keep pace with population growth as well. Roads are congested and schools face overcrowding, adding to the frustration of residents who expected small-town ease. Winter Haven may look peaceful with its lakes and small-town charm, but beneath the surface, its housing market is cracking. If trends continue, more families may leave than arrive, leaving behind a city struggling to sustain itself and hold on to the very identity that once defined it. Number 10. Port Charlotte, Florida. Port Charlotte, a small community on Florida's Gulf Coast, became a magnet for retirees and snowbirds in search of affordable waterfront living, but today it finds itself at the epicenter of Florida's housing challenges. The median home price in Port Charlotte is around $305,000, up nearly 65% since 2020. For a community where the median household income is just $50,000, the gap is massive. Affordability has collapsed, and many recent buyers are already finding themselves stretched to the limit. Insurance is perhaps the biggest threat here. After Hurricane Ian devastated Southwest Florida in 2022, premiums in Charlotte County soared. Annual costs of $6,000 to $7,000 are now common, and some insurers have abandoned the region entirely. For many retirees, the very people who once drove Port Charlotte's housing demand, these costs are unbearable. Inventory is climbing quickly. Homes that would have sparked bidding wars just a couple of years ago now sit unsold, with listings up nearly 40% year over year. Sellers are cutting prices, but demand isn't bouncing back. Foreclosure filings are rising, especially among owners who bought at peak prices with adjustable rate mortgages. Port Charlotte's vulnerability is amplified by its dependence on retirees and second home buyers. With high interest rates, rising insurance, and a slowing national economy, many of those buyers are simply staying away. Without them, demand collapses, leaving the market exposed. This isn't the first time Port Charlotte has faced such challenges. During the 2008 housing crash, it was one of Florida's hardest hit cities, with prices plunging by more than half. Today, with so many of the same warning signs flashing again, locals worry history is about to repeat itself. Port Charlotte still offers sunshine, canals, and Gulf Coast living, but for many residents, the dream has turned into a financial nightmare, and the risk of neighborhoods hollowing out is higher than ever. Florida's housing crisis is no longer a distant threat, it's unfolding right now. From Tampa to Port Charlotte, entire cities are on the brink. Which one surprised you most? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe.